I know for me, it was last, I guess it would have been, no, not last year, 2 years ago in January. I was still working a full-time day job, which was starting to get really, really busy because I, then had a team of like 5 people in that job. And then the business for KitLender was then doing much bigger numbers. We had, 12, I think 13 employees at the time. And I would go to work at, get up at 6 a.m., be to work at 7, work until 7, come home and work until 2 or 3 in the morning. And it was, just beating me down more than I had. Yeah. And I had that kind of come to Jesus moment where I was like, this is either I need to pick one route or the other, So that's when I actually did quit my job in the city and was like, I have to do this full time. And you start to see that it's costing money too, right? Like, if you're not in it, things start to get missed. You can't watch it all the time. You make mistakes. And, so that's when I moved back up to Vermont to run this full time. And that was, it's one of those things that had to happen. It was too much, doing 2 jobs every January. I would start to just get to that, 3 hours of sleep a night for an entire, 6-week, 8-week period starts to break the human soul down a little bit.
Like you said, I think that moment you talked about is so critical, right? That coming to Jesus moment, or that moment where it tests your faith, right? That
Yeah.
you don't know the other side of KitLender. You don't know what's going to really happen. You have a paying job that's kind of holding you up and holding this dream alive, but it's like you got to really believe in that dream now. And I think that's a great point you brought out to help our listeners, because again, we all have these great ambitions, but when that wall of fear comes in front of us, you got to make a decision. You're gonna climb it and you know look at the other side, or you're gonna look at that and say it's just too much to climb.
Yeah, and I've had conversations with some other folks about those sort of moments, and I don't think it's a bad thing to wait to do the kind of hustle to do 2 jobs. I think it built a lot of character. Like, it proved that I wanted it. I think anybody that I speak with is like, or the people that I have worked with, know like, oh well, it wasn't like easy, and I was putting it in and putting in the time, and you have that support financially on the other side that you can continue to do these things exactly and push through. But yeah, you have to make that decision eventually where you do take the step. Like, I don't think it's bad to be like, hey, I've got a little bit of a backup plan. But like you hear from musicians, it's like, at some point, are you a musician or are you a waiter that likes playing the guitar? And I think there is a point where, yes, you have to do some of those things, but at some point you have to kind of see, all right, I'm putting it in, I'm putting in the effort, I'm making the progress. And then it does come down to time. At some point, there's only so many hours in a day. There's only so many gigs you can go to somewhere else before you're like, I need to do this and take that kind of leap of faith into it. I probably, and I think other people, wait too long. And probably, maybe it was a year, maybe it was 2 years, but, you got to do it eventually. I don't think the time is like, there's like a day mark, well, after you do it for X days or X revenue number, X employees, but, at some point it's a hobby, or it's, you're really doing it as a business.
And like you said, I think it's really that commitment. And when you made that leap, was it were you just confident at that point that again, it didn't matter, pass or fail, this is what you were going out with?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could say like, yeah, I knew it, but I think I came to terms with like, I would be more, it's like the Eminem, scene. It's like you'd have more regret if you didn't take the opportunity versus taking it. So you have to look at it. And yes, like at the end of the day, yeah, you know, you could look back and say, oh shit, like I was making great money and now I'm coming back and I didn't have this, but I think you'd probably have bigger regrets, you know, when you're old and gray, that like, what if, or I wish I put it in, or, you know, the horrible one is that's my business, but that guy committed to it, you know. You know, there may be a Jeff Bezos somewhere that
Hmm.
didn't commit, right?
Hmm.
And he's like, yeah, but I had that and that was my thing, but you know, I just didn't jump into it as much. I didn't quit the job. I was still working at the other company, and you know, he may be right or she might be right, but you don't know unless you do it. And then yeah, like it could be annoying. You'd be like, I did it and somebody else did a better job, but at least you're, you know, at least your conscience is clean and you gave it your all.
Like you said, you can't make a shot you don't take, right?
You know, exactly. Yeah, exactly.